Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USAPrepares.com. And we broadcast from Missouri, high atop the Missouri Ozark Mountains. And if you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. John is engineering the broadcast today at Genesis Communications Network. And I'm delighted to be spending the next hour with Greg Lesher. And Greg Lesher is the station manager of an affiliate of USA Prepares in Delta, Utah. AM 540, KYAH. And AM 540 is low on the dial, very low on the AM dial. And what that does is it allows the signal to hug the earth, curvature of the earth, very, very well. The lower on the dial, the better the signal hugs the earth and the farther it travels. So if you're wondering why some stations come in better than others, well, one reason is the frequency. And the lower on the dial, the farther the signal travels for a given wattage. Welcome, Greg Lesher.
Yeah, well, thank you, Vincent. It's nice to be here. I've got, I kind of changed the beginning of my, what I wanted to talk about just a little bit because I noticed that there's so much mythology out there that people just really don't have a good understanding of where we are on this planet, where we are at this time of life and what's happened. We see all these changes going around us, and we're just dumbfounded by them. And lots of people have explanations, but they're just not facts. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk a little bit about where we are, and so we all have a better understanding of who we are and what role we have here.
Mm-hmm. And Greg, you're coming from a very interesting perspective. You live off the grid in the desert. So if you don't do it, whatever it is, it doesn't get done. You have removed yourself substantially from the supply chain, from the utilities and so forth. So, and yet, while doing all that, you still manage a radio station that's got to be on the air. You can't have dead air. So that's quite a testimony to what you've been able to accomplish. So I just wanted to say it's incredible and well done. So please continue.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I began to be educated in quite a few things. What's happened to the station always, it piqued my interest because, we've only got one chance at this life. And I learned about the beginnings of this country and why we have this country and why we left England. And, that, of course, was land ownership. The king owned the land in England and other countries. And because of that, he taxed the people. And when we found this nation, that's, after the war, we had the land. And the founding fathers understood land, and they understood the Scripture. And that's where all this is based, is Scripture. And we've been hoodwinkled into believing that property is the big issue, and property really isn't, and they understood that. What are we told in the Scripture about property? If you claim ownership on anything in this life, you have had your reward. You're done. We come here with nothing, we leave here with nothing. only by our stewardship that we have stewardship over are we able to demonstrate our worthiness to inherit anything from this earth. It's by stewardship. It's not by land ownership. It's not by property ownership. So when this nation was founded, the President of the United States was able to grant people land, what they call fee simple. All they had to do is pay for the survey. And of course that land could not be taxed. There is no such thing as a land tax, you'll notice, because land is a three-dimensional space. You remove all the property from it, you still have the space. It's intangible. You can't touch it. It's an area. They understood this, and they understood property, that when you own land, you control the property thereon. You are the king. You're the sovereign. And that's how this nation was founded. And on these original land grants, it says right on them to the person that received this land grant and to his heirs and assigns forever. Now, where's the limit on that? Okay, forever. You own the land forever to your assigns. How do you assign somebody? Why, they come in, they satisfy you, and you sign over land rights in the title to that next person. And if you really don't own the property, you're just a steward of it. Is that property taxable? To you if you don't own it?
Well, if you're asking me, if you own it, you should not have to pay a tax on it.
No, you don't. Who owns it? Who was this earth given to?
Well, according to English law, fee simple is absolute. It's an estate in land in the form of freehold ownership. So that's what it is. It's the highest possible ownership. The highest possible ownership. Yeah, land. And it's really a treaty. It's treaty law. And nobody has the authority to take that from you. And I know people to this day, and there are Supreme Court cases, and I have lists of them, where, it took some fighting. In the first court, people need to understand that will recognize land is the Supreme Court of Appeals. That's how far it has to get. So that could take years and years. So a lot of people try and bring their land patent forward, or they call it they're going to patent their land. You can't patent land; it's already been done. But the people who are posing as government don't have the authority to touch it. They abandoned those seats years ago, and I can explain that what happened, why everything went to the state of, and this is what John F. Kennedy was going to expose this, and they couldn't let that get out, so he had to be assassinated basically. But back in the early 60s, you'll notice the Republic of Texas, Republic of California, or Utah, they all became the state of. They were all incorporated. And of course, this all it ties into, well, anyway, back to the patent before we, continue on any further. There's what is called a glitch, and a lot of glitches happened back in back in the Depression when people lost their ownership to their land or property, whatever you wanted to call it back then. And they of course didn't sign it to the bank. Well, interesting to note, no one but a human can own land. It takes an act of Congress to be able to hold a land patent, and that actually happened with the railroad. They're the only corporation or business that ever was able and granted land ownership, and to this day they still have patent attorneys that understand this stuff. So when the bank took the property, they couldn't own it, and then of course it was sold at a tax auction or whatever, and somebody purchased it. There's a glitch. You don't have a chain of assignment, so that's what actually happened to the land that I had.
someone helped me realize that all you have to do is you have to go back and find the people that lost that land or their heirs and get them to sign over any land rights that they may have had. And I was able to do that. The lady was like 70 years old, living in Southern California. And she was happy to sign over the land rights. And I paid her for notary fees and her time. And I was able to connect the dots. So what you do is you go in and you find your original land grant. You get certified copies showing that chain of assignment all the way to you. And then you declare that you are the landowner, the assigned. And you've brought the patent forward. And some people think, well, now that I own the land, I can stop paying taxes on it. And you've got to realize that the people in the county and the state are ignorant. Either they're ignorant or they're evil. If they understand it, then they're just flat-out criminal. But 99.9% of the time, they're flat-out ignorant. They didn't learn this stuff. Nobody did. So there's going to be a fight. And one way you can get around this fight is to have somebody that you trust go in and discharge the debt on your land every year and give you the receipt so that they can't take it while you're fighting. And that can be years and years, and usually they only allow 3 years of non-payment on your property taxes before they come in and have a sheriff's sale. And then when that happens, you still may be fighting, and it may be years, but eventually, if you do it right, you will get your land back, and the people that purchased it, of course, will be out. But
Greg, could you say that one more time, please? What you said was someone you trust, have that person discharge the debt.
Like a good friend of yours. You would give them the funds, or the notes, I'm going to call them, because we'll get into that in a minute, to go and discharge that, and they would receive the receipt that has been paid, and then they bring that receipt to you. Now you could still fight the fight of land ownership and taxes, and before you can finally get it to that Supreme Court of Appeals, where it's never failed, and without actually being booted off your land by the sheriff.
That's because there is a lien on the land or a note on that land. Is that why?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop paying, there's going to be a lien on it.
Yeah. Well, let's continue this when we come back. Greg Lesher's with us, and he's the station manager of KYAH in Delta, Utah. And KYAH carries this program Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock hours, local drive time. We'll be right back. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Attention USA Prepares listeners. When you're on the road or have limited data or Wi-Fi, now you can listen to USA Prepares Unfiltered and Untapped at no extra charge on this non-federal phone number, 1-605-477-3249. Try it now to listen to USA Prepares 24/7 at no extra cost or data charges. These are not on federal lines. These are lines located on Indian reservations off the grid. Call 1-605-477-3249. No smartphones or internet needed. To hear USA Prepares Untapped and off the grid, just call 1-605-477-3249.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Attention backpackers on a budget. Why spend $80 to $300 to pump clean survival water? Introducing the Viva Water Pump Kit from Viva Outdoor Products. Super easy to use and super lightweight at only 6.5 ounces, the Viva Water Pump Kit provides high flow rate at 1 ounce per stroke, can be one-hand pumped, and is dependable and affordable at only $24.99, filter not included. Get your Viva Water Pump Kit at viba-odp.com from Viva Outdoor Products.
Class, we're talking about owning your land. Greg Lesher's with us, and he just became a USA Prepares instructor. So, Greg, please continue.
Yes. We're talking about, this is what people call loadial, loadial title. And what is it? What is your title? Say, for instance, you go out and you purchase a car. What is the title to that car? Is it something you go and apply for? Absolutely not. It's the receipt from the person that you purchased it from. That's the title. The rest of it's just title insurance and contract that, anyway. We could go hours on these subjects. I'm just going to briefly hit some of them right now. But anyway, that, back to the scripture again, Christ, he understood land ownership. And he understood stewardship. And, he made the point, the birds have their nests, the foxes have their holes, but the Son of Man hath nowhere to lay his head. Even he realized he didn't own the land. This earth was given to somebody else. It was given to Adam. He was the one who was given the earth and was able to name the animals and have control over it. We are only stewards, and the only way that we can gain any reward is to be wise and faithful stewards. Very important to understand that. So we don't really own anything. I don't even own the shirt on my back. It's only a stewardship, and how I treat that will determine my reward. But you got to realize in the state and the county, what I'm going to call them right now, these people don't understand. They're ignorant. They weren't schooled in any of this. They just don't understand, and that's been the biggest thing in this country, to take control of this country, is to forget our roots. But anyway, we think, how much money do you think do you have in your pocket right now? You probably don't have any. I don't. There's no reason to carry it around.
If you're talking about this very second, I don't have a cent. I don't have a plastic piece. I don't have a plastic card. I don't have any tokens.
Well, that
I
is
don't
money
have
anyway.
any. Yeah, I don't have any of those things.
Well, for instance, what money is defined by Congress as what? Well, the United States dollar is 1 trillion ounce of pure silver minted by Congress. It's basically under the authority of Congress. That is a dollar. That is money. That's the only money in this country is gold and silver coin. And in fact, in the Constitution, it says no state shall make anything a payment of debt other than gold and silver coin. Okay? What we have in our pockets is commonly called a dollar bill. Why do they call it a bill? Because it's a note. It's a bill for a dollar. And you have to understand what the law of notes and comforts is. The law of notes says that there is nothing besides what is on that note that has any value. In other words, the law of notes says that what it says is all it can do. In other words, on these Federal Reserve notes that we're carrying around, it says it is for what? If you have a dollar bill, it says for 1 United States dollar. It's a note for 1 United States dollar. And who owns that note? The Federal Reserve. And we all know that the Federal Reserve is a foreign corporation. And according to Title 22, Section 611 of the United States Code, anyone demanding payment of a foreign note is an agent for the note and is therefore liable for the redemption of that note. Right there in the U.S. Code. Now, this note you have in your pocket, is there any specific owner of that note listed on there? No, it's a bearer note. Is there an expiration date? No, there isn't. So we are carrying around notes. Who owes who here? And here's something what's the value of that note? If you were to go to the Mint, the United States Mint, and purchase a dollar, what's it going to cost you now? Last time I bought one, that was $30. 30 Federal Reserve notes for 1 United States dollar.
We'll be right back. Greg Lesher's with us. I'm Vin Finelli. This is USA Prepares.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. And this could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal Office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisements. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Ely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times, but I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-958-9859. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-958-9859. Call 1-800-958-9859. 1-800-958-9859.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using a computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you are having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis, 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks On Site for friendly certified computer repair experts, available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682, 1-800-591-1682.
Greg Lesher's with us, and we're talking about notes of exchange, and we've been talking about the U.S. note, Federal Reserve note. And Greg, please continue.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to talk about this with your class is because in order for you to be left alone to do what you want to do, you have to understand and know more than they do. And that's their fear is whenever they deal with you, they end up on the short side of the stick. So anyway, and what I'm doing, living off grid, they're against it because basically you're removing yourself from their slave system. You're no longer a slave to the power company. You're no longer a slave to a lot of things, and you have control over your own land. So I'm talking about this because I want people to understand who they're dealing with, these agents, and who they really are, as defined in the Constitution. Now, and I've also given you an idea what those notes are worth in Federal Reserve. I mean, what those real dollars are worth in Federal Reserve notes. Last time I bought a United States dollar from the mint, it cost me $30-something in Federal Reserve notes. I have a receipt. That is the value of a real dollar. And as you can see, it's the notes are going down, but the dollar still remains the same. Anyway, now, is that legal tender? A United States dollar, is it legal tender? If I was to come to you and say, I'd like to buy your car for this much, many silver dollars, and you said sure, and we've made the exchange, it is. It's legal tender for us. However, this corporation known as the state of, that functions under the state of, that functions under the District of Columbia, that 10-mile square, which is the actual only land that they own, under the Par Value Modification Act, they cannot touch it. Why can't they touch it? Because the state of Utah is not Utah, the original jurisdictional government. And if they are to reach down, if you took in silver dollars to pay your taxes, because the only way you can pay your taxes is with real money. You can discharge the debt with notes, but you're not really paying anything. You're just discharging the debt. That's why I call it discharging the debt. Anyway, if you're going to do this, you got to make sure that you do it with witnesses and you do it right, because you're hitting them in the heart of the whole issue. What you do, if you want to pay your taxes, if you take in I'd take in maybe 5 witnesses that you can count on, that you can get affidavits from, and you can bring in as witnesses. You also want to bring in a witness as the county clerk who's making the transaction. You're going to call him as a witness too, because in code, a payment made, a payment tendered is a payment made whether they accept it or not, and the debt is therefore discharged. So you need witnesses. So what a person can discharge a debt by going in with witnesses into the county to pay his debt in United States dollars, whether there's $20 gold pieces, whatever. If that county attorney or clerk or whoever's working there to collect the debt reaches down and picks up that coin, number one, they've just committed a felony under the Par Value Modification Act. Why is that? That's because they are not the government. It says the state shall make nothing but gold and silver coin in tender of payment of debt. They are not the state. They're a corporation called the state of. And anyway, so what happens is they won't touch it. They'll throw their arms back. Well, did you just tender your payment? Of course you did. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that clerk to court. You're going to get a declaratory judgment, and you're going to have to do it in a court of record. You can bring in your own, you can pay your own, and this is wise, to pay your own court recorder for your records, because when you're going into a court, the judge can monkey with his own, what's going on with his own clerk. So you bring in a licensed clerk, from another county. You pay him to keep record of what goes on. Anyway, you take him in and you get the judge is finally going to have to say, yes, you did make payment. And at that point, they won't be asking you for taxes again. Because now what you're going to do is you're going to go after them for the payment that you made. You want it back because they're not who they say they are. So you sue them for the exact amount of gold or silver coin that you tendered. And you come out winning in the end if you do it right. And you just doubled your gold and your silver. And at that point, they will never ask you for that debt again. Now, you can do this. It's a long process, and it is a little bit dangerous. But,
Greg, I'm a little bit confused. Currently, the value of a silver dollar in Federal Reserve notes is about 20. About 20 Federal Reserve dollar units for one silver dollar.
So you don't need to bring in 20 of those dollars. You only bring in what the value is, according to the debt they say you owe. Now, there was a case here, and I was involved in it, where we went into the county, and he says, well, I can take those, but I have to take them at face value. And we said, okay. And he took them. A couple weeks later, we got back a letter saying that we could take them, and that they were trying to make it look like it never happened. What would you call that if they took it at face value? One silver dollar for one Federal Reserve note. It's called securities fraud. That also is a felony. And the county attorney said, basically realized that they'd made a huge mistake. And a couple of years after all this took place, Utah decided to make gold and silver, legal tender for, to pay off debts. Well, till this day, they still haven't accepted, even though they made that a law, they still can't do it. So it's really ironic for them. But what you've established here is the fact that they are not the government. Those seats were abandoned. We're voting for people in a corporation that is owned by what? A foreign interest. So you've got a bunch of agents running around without green cards working for this World Bank. And it really enlightens you to, where we are. We're in a mess. And I don't think any corporate person that we bring in is going to change it or save it, because they just don't have an understanding of what's really happened. It's been calculated, and it's been happening for years. But the reason I tell you about all this is because if you do a few of these things and you know what you're dealing with, these people won't want to monkey with you at all.
One of the things that I've noticed over time is that those agents have made life incredibly difficult for the average villager. What I'm saying is the average villager cannot fill out a 1040 form if he or she wants to, because it's too complicated. The average villager can't go to court without hiring a bar card attorney because it's too complicated. And
now you brought in a different subject. You brought in a total different aspect, and I need to talk about that too, because this is going to free you up from that.
And what I'm saying is, I believe this is all by design, so that the average villager cannot. And I've talked to many people as I've traveled across the country in seminars, and just about everybody is unwilling or unable in their mind to complete the tax forms as they think they should. But please continue. This is fascinating.
Okay, this at the same time that they went to this, they brought in the Social Security Administration. Okay, and we need to have an understanding why they did that. It's because they actually lost all the ability when they abandoned those seats, those original jurisdictional government seats. When they abandoned those, they lost all the ability to deal with the human. So, a trustor came in, known as a Social Security. It created trusts. The beneficiary was the United States Government Corporation, and the trustee was you. And on the back of that card, what does it say? That card is the property of the Social Security Administration. It's not yours. What they don't tell you is that you're the trustee. Now, under trust law, when a trust commits some kind of a crime, is the trustee liable for that crime? No, it is not. No, the trustee is absolutely not. So, understanding who you are and where you are is extremely important here. First of all, I'm sure you've heard this on your program. They've changed the meaning of person to mean a partnership, corporation, whatever, combination of individuals. What they try to convince you of is that you are the person listed on that card. Well, number one, a proper English name is only capitalized with the first letter of that name. And that's right there in their books. So when they say, are you the person listed here? And then you tell the judge, well, that depends on what your definition of person. If you mean the God-made human that you see sitting here before you only, yes. Anything more or less than that, absolutely not. And, because my dad did not name me all in capital letters. That's owned by the Social Security Administration. That's that trust that was created. And people call it a straw man. That's not a straw man. It's a trust, for Pete's sakes. And there are ways to prove that. But anyway, as far as that goes, the Social Security is not yours. It never is. That's how you can be in the world but not of the world. You're functioning as the trustee, and you realize that. So all these things that they're dealing with, they're only dealing with the trust. And there are ways to prove that you are the trustee, and really they have absolutely nowhere to go in court. Because the first thing is when you go to an attorney, you have to hire an attorney. They're going to, you're going to have to, they want you to waive your rights to an attorney, or they're going to appoint you one.
Greg, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
Exercise and deep breathing gets oxygen into the blood but does not guarantee you get oxygen into your 372 trillion cells. Largely, the essential fatty acids, alpha-linolenic and linoleic acids, control oxygen transfer from the blood to the cells. These essential fatty acids are called essential because they must be obtained from the diet on a regular basis. Many people are aware of the value of supplementing with flax or hemp seed oil. What most people don't know is that due to current methods of pressing, all these oils are significantly damaged and oxidized by the time you consume them. What everyone needs to know is that there are new seed oils on the market that are pressed in a manner that protects the oils from damage and oxidation. Even athletes get cancer, which means that despite their abundant oxygen uptake into the blood, the transfer of oxygen into the cells is not occurring. I invite you to try the Andreas seed oils and see for yourself what a difference you can feel in energy, reduction of appetite, and well-being. Call 888-988-3325 or visit sacredseedoils.com. That's sacredseedoils.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
To a professional trader in precious metals, the key is spot price. Spot price is market price, what gold or silver actually costs on the exchange. Regular people looking to invest never get spot price because resellers add fees for everything: refining, minting, brokerage costs, commissions. The public is never offered spot price until now. In a limited new customer outreach, JM Bullion offers you the chance to own a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, commissions, markups, not even a shipping cost. Now, through JM Bullion, own the most real investment of all at real cost. Not a piece of paper from Wall Street or a bank. A 10-ounce bar of silver at spot price. That's a solid investment. But you must act now. Go online to realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. That's realpricesilver.com. realpricesilver.com. Limit one offer per household, 50 United States only.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants. And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out. Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA-certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Greg Lesher's with us. And, originally we were going to talk about water, so we're going to have to do that on another broadcast, Greg. But you were talking about the Social Security Administration and hiring an attorney. Please continue.
Yes. Now, one of the reasons that, they want you to waive your rights in court to represent yourself at the very least, or appoint an attorney to you if you can't afford one, is because the trust can't speak. The trust has to be represented, okay? And I can't find an attorney who will represent my trust, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But, and the judge will say, well, are you going to represent yourself? And you say, I cannot represent myself. I can only present myself. It's impossible for me to jump outside my physical self to represent it. And, you'll see jaws drop in the courtroom, and judges' faces turn red, because they're going to understand you know exactly what you're talking about. So they're going to say, well, they're going to want you to find an attorney so that you can be represented in court, because they cannot pronounce sentence upon you or judgment if you are not represented by somebody. And people say, well, you want to waive your rights. Well, you can't waive my rights. My rights are God-granted. I can't. They're unalienable. I cannot waive any of my rights. And people say, well, you walk into a courtroom and they say, well, you don't have any constitutional rights in the court. You're right. You don't have any constitutional rights anywhere, because your rights did not come from the Constitution. The Founding Fathers understood this. Your rights were granted by God. The Constitution, however, protects them from interfering with your rights. And when a judge understands this, he'll know. You know who you are and where you are in the court. That'll be the first clue. I don't have constitutional rights. My rights are God-granted. The Constitution protects them from you, from interfering with my rights. And that goes wherever you go, even on foreign soil, which is where you're at when you're in that courtroom. But anyway, so what I do is I'll go, what's the scripture say about serving two masters? It says you can't. You can't serve two masters. You have to, either serve God or basically mammon, or the other. So when I go to I have documents prepared when I go looking for an attorney. In order for him to represent me, he has to understand me and my rights. And so the first thing I'll ask him is, will you hold me and God above all others? And it'll be in writing. The attorney won't do it, because when they pass the bar, they have to uphold the court above all others, which places them on the other side. How can somebody represent you if they're not holding you and God above the court? They can't do it. So they'll sign something and say they can't represent you. And anyway, to make a long story short, when you find that you have not been able to find representation, and he's tried to appoint a judge, an attorney to represent you, a court-appointed attorney, you have that same meeting with the attorney to make sure that he can represent you. You present him the same paperwork, and he can't represent you. So finally, they just decide, well, we're going to pronounce sentence upon you. And they say, was there anything that you have to say before we pronounce sentence upon you? And that's when they provide him with a piece of paper. And that piece of paper, they basically say, well, you're free to go. So understanding who you are and where you are makes all these other things possible. It basically releases their control over you, and you become the sovereign on your own. And I've seen it.
Greg Lesher, that's a fabulous lesson today. And we're going to have to do this again and again to continue this, and also we're going to have to talk about water, because you've developed a system,
absolutely,
whereby you can distill water that is scalable. There's no maximum size.
And I can give out my website if you don't mind.
Sure.
OutbackEnergySystems.com.
One more time,
Greg. OutbackEnergySystems.com. I talk about
Outback Energy. Yeah, OutbackEnergySystems.com. And there's a link on the Instructors tab, USA Prepares. Greg, thank you so much for being with us. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
The investment world isn't fair. A precious metals trader buys gold and silver at spot price. You pay his price plus fees, costs, and shipping. But today, you don't. Today, JM Bullion offers a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, no markups, no shipping. Invest in something real, not Wall Street paper. 10 ounces of silver at spot price. Visit realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. One per household, 50 United States only. realpricesilver.com.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. Captain John Ragan's with us. Welcome, Captain John Ragan.
Good morning, Vincent.
Hey, good morning, John. You know, we didn't get through everything that we tried to get through yesterday, so we're continuing. That's a first for us, isn't it?
The first for yesterday.
You know, John, at the top of the hour, we heard about HSBC, and I just want to make sure that if our class doesn't know what HSBC stands for, it stands for Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation. Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation. So when you hear about HSBC, that's the full name. Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation. That's not a joke. That's for real. You can look it up. And so, John, 3 days. It took 3 days for me to patch a front tire on our tractor because of the new and improved supply chain. I needed those patch plugs that I mentioned last time we talked, and I finally got them in and was able to get the tire patched. So 3 days of downtime as a farmer because I couldn't use a tractor because it had a flat tire. Yep. So where do you want to start today, John?
Well, I'd like to go ahead and start with employment. Friday was the monthly release, job information. And I don't want to spend much time on it because we know that they lie. The Bureau of Labor Statistics puts this out, so some people call it the BLS BS. I've got the link entitled, should we call it Fudge Factor Friday? Maybe it should even be the Federal First Friday Fable. I mean, it's it's just a joke. But I just wanted to point out, I've got 3 articles there about it. In the first one, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a seasonal adjustment chart that's mostly blue with one red. And if you look in recent years, from 2012 through 2015, the seasonal adjustment has been negative. And this time the seasonal adjustment was positive and it was a positive much higher than we've seen, even going back to 2006 before the crisis happened. So there, seasons to me, when I've done all my statistical research, the seasons stay, constant for your data pool. But they don't go wandering around all over the place. On the next one, you have to scroll down. It's about the third chart down. It's entitled Employment Rate Divided by the Labor Force Participation Rate. And you get a chart that looks, a little bit like, when you see the, TV shows and they got the monitor there for the heart, and you're seeing the rhythm go by. It's got its ups and downs, and if you happen to notice, most of these, when it has that shoot up, that's when you have recessions, and then it comes back down, then it shoots up again. Well, if you look at it, it's come back down. Now, it looks to me probably a reasonable amount. Could possibly go down a little bit more, but it looks like it's getting close to doing its downward run compared to what we've seen in the past. And then when it does that uptick, that's when we are looking at recession. And this might be a good point of any to stop and talk about recession. I've seen a lot of things go on, and whether that starts this year, I've seen other reports that it can't start any later than early 2017. That is not necessarily the same thing as the financial crash, but the recession, once it officially begins, this is the one that we cannot recover from, because there's just nothing left to kick the can down the road. It gets to the point where it requires more than 100% of income, and that just doesn't work. And lastly, on employment, the report, the new older normal, there's a myth out there that seniors are retiring and leaving the labor force. Well, here, out of the new jobs report, 259,000 of those went to people 55 to 69. A smaller amount, 28,000, went to people in their prime years, 25 to 54. And if you're in the 16 to 19 or 20 to 24 groups, you lost ground. So I don't see anything good in that labor report. And then I just threw in one more that I happened to come across. UPS is to improve productivity, and they're doing this by fully automating 30 of their largest U.S. hubs. So when you say fully automate, you can translate that into being getting rid of workers.
I was thinking, I was looking at this chart, John. June 2016 job additions and losses by age group. Okay, and it's absolutely this chart. If I'm reading this correctly, more than I would say it looks like 60% of the jobs added were by those 55 to 69. And when you go to the Chinese factory outlet, that's really what you see. You see a bunch of seniors that are working there. And do you have a thought as to what this is? Is it because the younger people just can't make decisions that are needed to hold a job? Do you think it's just that these millennials are just not capable of holding jobs? Or do you have any thoughts as to what the cause might be?
I think that's part of the factor, is that when employers are hiring, they're looking at these older people are less into social media and have more of a work ethic, and they don't have to be babied as much. But on the other side, Social Security is not keeping up with expenses, and they, manipulate the factor that they use in deciding how much of a raise in the rate that the recipients get. And then even those people that did manage to save for retirement are being hammered because you no longer get the good interest rates on the bonds. And just wait until the stock market corrects from all the QE that we've had. Even before that, back with 2007, 2008, when we had that downturn. I remember one of the people I worked with, talking to somebody, and she was saying that her 401k is down 50%. We used to talk about return on investment. It's getting to where it's more important to have return of investment. But even if you only get a return of your money, that means you're losing ground to inflation. And without that return, like I say, for example, if you manage to save $1 million in your retirement account and you get 5% interest, which used to be a fairly low safe rate, that would earn you $50,000 a year without even touching what you'd saved. Well, now on the safe end, you're looking at maybe 0.5%. So instead of getting $50,000 a year, you're only getting $5,000. So you either have to dive into what you've saved, which decreases what you can possibly make in the future, or you go to work and make up the difference. And I think that's what we're seeing is people simply cannot retire. So they're, and we don't even know the composition of this. They may be adding part-time jobs. They may be taking 2 or 3 part-time jobs. It's more jobs, right? It's all good.
Mm-hmm. John, I'm looking at, as you were saying this, I was thinking, so where are the jobs? So I went to the city of Springfield, Missouri, and I'm at Wikipedia right now, and I looked for the overview of statistics. So there are about 166,000 people who live in Springfield, Missouri. And let me just read you some of the employers. These are the top 12 employers in the city of Springfield, Missouri. Mercy Health System, okay? Number 1. Cox Health System, number 2. Walmart, number 3. Springfield Public Schools, 4. Missouri State University, 5. So the top 5 are health, Walmart, public schools, and the university. That's the top 5. Now, if you continue down, Bass Pro Shops is number 6. The United States government is number 7. The 7th largest employer in Springfield, Missouri is the United States government. The 8th largest is the state of Missouri. 9 is Citizens Memorial Healthcare. 10, the 10th largest employer in the city of Springfield, Missouri, is the city of Springfield, Missouri. Number 11 is O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's a chain of auto parts stores. Number 12, Chase Card Services. It's unbelievable. So where's manufacturing? There is no manufacturing in the top 12 employers in the city of Springfield. Most of it is government, education, and health. We'll be right back. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
Earthquakes, political chicanery, extreme weather, impending financial doom. If you haven't gotten prepared, you're just not paying attention. You need emergency food, and you know it. You'll get the most emergency food for your money from Ready Supply Foods. Companies with patriotic names try to sell you 5 or 6 soups, some pudding, drink powders, and rice, but have only half of the calories you need to survive. You really want to try and live on that? Ready Supply Foods sells 23 delicious entrees with none of the empty calories. Enjoy stroganoff, pasta alfredo, primavera and marinara, chicken a la king, Hawaiian sweet and sour, and vegetable rotini. Those are just a few of our amazing menu items. You can buy from the other companies and eat like a peasant, or buy from Ready Supply Foods and eat like a king. We sell you twice as much food for the money than most companies, and it's much better food. Surviving a disaster is hard enough without worrying about starving to death. See how much more food you can get for your money at ReadySupplyFoods.com today.
The investment world isn't fair. A precious metals trader buys gold and silver at spot price. You pay his price plus fees, costs, and shipping. But today, you don't. Today, JM Bullion offers a 10-ounce bar of pure silver at spot price. No fees, no markups, no shipping. Invest in something real, not Wall Street paper. 10 ounces of silver at spot price. Visit realpricesilver.com for this limited time offer. One per household, 50 United States only. realpricesilver.com.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, you might not sleep so well. But now, SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all CPAP germs, and it's completely hands-free. For a limited time, you can try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-952-2797.
SoClean changed the CPAP experience for the better. My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean destroys CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs, and it eliminates the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. There's no water, chemicals, or disassembly. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto! Your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Call SoClean.com to try it risk-free at home for 30 days. This is a limited time offer, only available by calling 1-800-952-2797. That's 1-800-952-2797.
Has neck, back, or shoulder pain got you down? Go to sunshine-pillows.com and get soothing comfort, support, and pain relief fast. Their microwavable heat therapy pillows and wraps treat neck and shoulder pain, reduce stress, and relax the soul. An ergonomic pillow from Sunshine Pillows supports your head and neck on long trips or when simply resting at home. Be good to yourself. Visit sunshine-pillows.com. Sunshine-pillows.com.
Captain John Ragan's with us, U.S. Air Force Reserves, retired. And if you'd like to follow along in class today, just go to thefinancialstateoftheunion.com. Thefinancialstateoftheunion.com. And please click on the news tab. John, please continue.
Well, because you made that side trip talking about who the larger employers in Springfield were, and the education and, whether it's public school or university that's public, all of that's government when you look at the scheme of things. So I went ahead and pulled up the U.S. debt clock to see where things currently stand, and they're reporting U.S. GDP is, let's say, roughly $18.5 trillion. Federal, state, local spending, $6.8 trillion. Now, okay, let me do math in my head here on live radio. First off, we know that GDP is a faked number. There's hedonics and other fudge factors in there. So you can probably reduce that by about 20%, which means their GDP is really only roughly $15 trillion. Well, the government doesn't really produce anything on its own. It has to steal from others in order to do the spending. So if we, let me just round that for easy math. If we take $7 trillion from $15 trillion, that leaves $8 trillion. That's attributable to the private sector. So the government needs to take nearly 7 of that $8 trillion from the private sector in order to do its spending. So we're getting very close to the government requiring 100%. Of course, they can't tax 100%. That's why debt's going up. And that gets into the first link in the financial section. More income, larger deficit. Federal tax receipts through July hit a record $2.67 trillion. However, they've also got a larger deficit, which is the second article, and they're looking at the deficit for this year. I read in another article today, being pretty close to $600 billion, getting very close to $1 trillion again. And that just adds to the debt. And of course, that's just the on the budget deficit. And of course, that doesn't include all the spending. So we'll see at the end of the fiscal year what the total increase in debt is for the year. But so if the budget is $600 trillion, I'm saying $600 billion, it's probably going to be at least $800 billion by the time we get to the end of September there. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. But of course, the government is saying everything's great, and we're looking at sectors having problems. I've got the third link, our car sales driving off a cliff, and Ford warns is connected to this as well. Ford's having problems, and that wasn't enough. Scroll down here. AutoNation is also having problems. And scrolling down a little bit, you get a chart showing auto loans owned and securitized. And you're looking at the top of the chart here, so it kind of exaggerates the move a little bit, but you can see where the level was before the financial crisis hit. Then that went down a bit, and now we're looking at total auto loans about 20% higher than what it was before we had the crash. And a good number of those are subprime loans. And in the Ford warrants, there's a chart shows U.S. inventory to auto sales ratio, and we're seeing that get up into the range where you typically would see a recession.
When we come back, John, I'd like to share with you what I experienced. I can connect a dot to exactly what you're saying about automobiles and light trucks. John Ragan's with us. I'm Vin Finelli. This is USA Prepares. We'll be right back.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA-packed technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon. Or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851.
Earthquakes, political chicanery, extreme weather, impending financial doom. If you haven't gotten prepared, you're just not paying attention. You need emergency food, and you know it. You'll get the most emergency food for your money from Ready Supply Foods. Companies with patriotic names try to sell you 5 or 6 soups, some pudding, drink powders, and rice, but have only half of the calories you need to survive. You really want to try and live on that? Ready Supply Foods sells 23 delicious entrees with none of the empty calories. Enjoy stroganoff, pasta alfredo, primavera and marinara, chicken a la king, Hawaiian sweet and sour, and vegetable rotini. Those are just a few of our amazing menu items. You can buy from the other companies and eat like a peasant, or buy from Ready Supply Foods and eat like a king. We sell you twice as much food for the money than most companies, and it's much better food. Surviving a disaster is hard enough without worrying about starving to death. See how much more food you can get for your money at ReadySupplyFoods.com today.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants. And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out. Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
So, John, I remember, a couple decades ago being able to operate my motor vehicle, my car or truck, and drive it through a parking lot of a dealership, an automotive dealership. And there's plenty of room to, drive around and look at the offerings on the lot, just, by navigating the parking lot. Well, a couple days ago, Mrs. Finelli and I were in my truck, and we passed a parking lot, and I was thinking, wow, I don't think I could hardly get my, standard size, regular cab, 8-foot-long pickup bed easily through that parking lot. If they took a trade-in, I don't think there'd be a place to put that trade-in. It just, every single spot was packed. These These dealerships are overloaded. The ones that I see around here in Missouri are overloaded with vehicles they're trying to sell. And so, as I might have mentioned, that the average or the manufacturer's suggested retail price of a basic Chevrolet pickup truck, a 1500 Silverado, the basic truck is $27,000. Then you have to add in about $1,700 in tax around here in Missouri, and then $1,000 to get it from the manufacturer over to the dealership. Now you're looking at $30,000 for a stripped truck. Now, if you want a nicely appointed truck, it's about $53,000. And I was chatting with our son who borrowed my truck for a couple days because we're working on his Dodge Ram turbo diesel because we're replacing some of the front end suspension parts and we've got it taken apart. And I asked him, so how's my truck running? He said, no problems. It runs just fine. And he said, and the reason for that is there's not much to go wrong. It doesn't have power windows. It doesn't have power seats. It doesn't have dark tinted windows. It doesn't have Bluetooth. It doesn't have a deluxe stereo. Doesn't have carpeting. Doesn't have, heated seats. Doesn't have a console. Doesn't have a lot of things. It doesn't have a lot of things that can go wrong. But John, the point I'm trying to make is $30,000 for a stripped pickup truck with rubber floor mats. I'm not talking about mats on top of carpeting. I'm just talking about the metal floor is covered with some insulation and then a rubber mat, and that's it. $30,000 for a basic truck. So when we talk about inflation, there's just one prime example of inflation, because a pickup truck used to be less expensive than a car, back in the 70s. Not the case anymore.
And keep in mind that those cars you see on the dealer lot, that dealer is having to pay interest on those cars.
Yeah, and that's another point. So when you go to buy a car or a truck and you go to the lot and you say, well, it looks like this one, it's got rusty brake rotors. It looks like it's been here a long time. So you're thinking that, they'd really like to sell that one because they've had it for about a year. Well, the fact of the matter is they're paying interest on that one that's been there a long time for a long time. So it's actually cost more than the one they just got yesterday. Assuming that the same equipment is on those vehicles. So they've got to sell, if they're going to sell it based on what they paid for it, they're going to have to sell the old one for more than the one they just got. You're absolutely right.
Well, let me run quickly through the rest of the financial section here, and we can decide which ones to focus in on. Restaurants are losing business, which is not good news too, because that's where a lot of the jobs have come from, between that and healthcare because of Obamacare. Student loans, auto loans hit record highs, and credit card debt surges. If you remember, we talked about GDP increasing 50%, going from 0.8% in the first quarter to the pathetic 1.2% in the second quarter. Well, that's built on credit, which, like I say, people are about tapped out on being able to pay their debt back. What taxes are saying, the U.S. has lost 195,000 good-paying energy industry jobs. And scrolling down to the second gray box there, it talks about July withheld receipts, that year over year, the amount that was withheld and sent into the IRS decreased by 1%. That should be quite telling right there. We don't hear about QE in the United States, but globally, central banks are pushing out $180 billion per month in quantitative easing. You multiply that times 12, it means that we're looking at on the order of $2 trillion a year just to have the prosperity that we're now seeing. MetLife misses and is going to have massive job cuts. And as we talked about with the senior citizens not being able to retire because of low interest rates. That hits insurance companies as well because they need return on investment just like pension funds do. So we're seeing that bubble up. Class 8 truck orders plunged to the lowest level since February of 2010. I would say that this is a leading indicator because if things were going well in transportation, they would be buying trucks to get ready. Since they're not buying, they're not seeing activity coming up in the future. And at the bottom of the stack, global trade is not growing slowly. It's not growing at all. And then that kind of raises questions on how is GDP really doing? Vincent?
Captain, as you were talking about the trucks, reminds me there's a truck dealership, the tractor part of tractor trailers, near Springfield, Missouri, and I pass it every once in a while, and the number of trucks seems to be growing and growing and growing. Every time I pass it, there are more trucks for sale than there were the last time. And this has been going on for 8 to 10 years. That I've noticed, greater inventory of trucks for sale. Now, the parking lot is absolutely full. It doesn't seem like they could squeeze another tractor in there if they had to. And along the same route, Interstate 44, there are these parking spots for the trailer part of the tractor and trailer, and the back doors are open for ventilation. And there are hundreds of these empty trailers just sitting there, waiting to be deployed or used. And it seems like we've got more empty tractor trailers, the trailer part, and we have more tractors for sale that aren't being sold, and we have more cars available for sale that aren't being sold. So I think you're absolutely right. This is a leading indicator. That was one comment, one connecting of the dots. Now, when we get to the restaurants, I think that is also a leading indicator. I don't remember what I was taught in finance and economics class, whether restaurants were a leading indicator or not. I have a feeling that they are a leading indicator. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think because of the cost of of labor in restaurants rising, I think because of the cost that labor is rising at restaurants, and the cost of food for us at the supermarket and grocery store isn't rising quite as fast, people are choosing to keep that delta and stay home and eat. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, and the restaurants are experiencing the increase in food prices as well. So they got the double whammy of increased food price plus the increased labor price, especially in those areas that are getting this $15 minimum wage. And the choices are to raise the prices, lay people off, or close. It's none of it's really a good option.
I remember there's a Waffle House. I don't know if that's the name of the restaurant in Springfield, but there's this great big sign that said $2.99. So you could have waffles for $2.99, and it seemed to jump in one big jump from $2.99 to $4.99. That's a huge, huge jump. However, $4.99 for what one might consider a meal without a beverage is low, because most meals, if you want to go get a hamburger somewhere, I'm not talking about McDonald's, but if you want to go to a restaurant that serves hamburgers, you're probably not going to get out of there for less than $10. So the $5, Waffle House is probably an economic bargain. It may not be a food, quality bargain, but in terms of dollars spent, you can get out of there with less Federal Reserve notes being spent than if you go to a hamburger joint or some other restaurant. But John, I remember taking Mrs. Finelli to my favorite Italian restaurant years ago. I'm talking in the 70s, and you could have spaghetti and meat sauce for $1.85, and it came with bread fresh baked bread, Italian bread, and pickled tomatoes, all for $1.85. And I don't think that if that were available today, it would be any less than maybe $11 or $12. So I see inflation, I see it hurting Americans, and I see us going out less. And I don't know if it's because of the nose rings and the tongue. I don't know what you'd call those things that are put in a person's tongue, and the piercings that I see, and the tattoos and the branding and these hoops that are stuck in earlobes that grosses me out so much that I don't want to go to restaurants anymore. I don't know if it's that so much, or the rising prices of restaurant, or the combination of all of that. But I just don't feel like going to them anymore. I really don't. And, I'll look at Mrs. Finelli. We'll be in the truck, and we'll be out in Springfield and going shopping. It'll be 2 o'clock, and we're a little hungry, and we'll say, hey, are you hungry? Yeah, well, let's go home. Let's spend another hour in the truck, and we'll go home and have something good to eat. John Ragan, I'll be right back.
Today, I became a biophoton woman. I put a tablespoon of the Andreas 5-seed oil in my morning's One World Way drink and was still happy and energized at 3 p.m. Normally, I feel tired and spacey at the end of the day, but today I felt energy and very clear. My friend at the farmer's market asked what I was on. She said my eyes looked bright and I had unusual energy for that time of afternoon. I told her there was a magical oil that enabled my body to absorb the sun's energy as if I were a plant. She said, I want some. A second One World Way shake with the oil when I got home took me to bedtime with that wonderful, abundant energy. I couldn't believe how much I got done and how great I felt. The combination of One World Way and 5-seed oil produced a significant health event in my life, the kind that makes you feel you've been given your life back with a bonus, and I'm 64.
5-seed oil in One World Way for your fantastic health. Call 888-988-3325 or visit sacredseedoils.com.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
ProPure water filters, making water great again. Taste and feel the difference with state-of-the-art filter technology. Pro 1 G2.0 and Pro Max filters are independent lab-tested to NSF standards. Choose from Gravity, Countertop, Pitcher, Shower, and Inline filtration products. There's a ProPure for you. Buy risk-free today. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IVC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pileski of the Pileski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states. Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Now, John, yesterday we talked about this Kansas state legislator's son. He was 10 years old. He was decapitated when he was thrown through a raft harness into a safety net before plunging 50 feet down the world's tallest water slide. And we talked about, why subject yourself to that? And if you look at the picture of this young 10-year-old before he was killed, he's beaming with joy. He's standing with his father, who's beaming with joy, and now the young man is dead. And he was on this tall water slide, and I'm sure his father and he thought everything was going to be fine as he was climbing up to take the ride down the slide. So, a word of caution: why do that? And then, of course, in Tennessee, there was a Ferris wheel, and some young people were in it, and they were rocking their, what would you call it, their basket that they were riding in. They were rocking it pretty hard, and 3 girls fell. I don't know if they're alive or not, but why do this? Why risk being injured for a few minutes of thrill? Makes no sense to me. John?
Well, are you ready for some spy tech to close the show?
I am. I'm ready.
Okay. The first 3 I'm just going to cover quickly, and then we'll finish up with Google patent that includes spy toilets. You've probably, if you use debit or credit cards, you've probably received one of those new cards that has the EMV gold chip on it that you have to insert into the reader instead of swipe your card. Well, it turns out that credit card thieves can rewrite the MAC strip code to make it appear like it's a chipless card. So you still don't want those things to go outside your possession, or be careful when you're using them in devices that don't require the chip. Make sure there's not a skimmer there. And the second one, which is even scarier, there's gas stations here in the Dallas area, and these are major stations like Exxon and 7-Eleven on busy streets. It turns out that these credit card skimming equipment's actually inside the pump. So you can inspect the pump, not see a thing, and you're still subject to having your credit card information stolen. And to me, that, no, some pun intended, looks like an inside job. We've got hackers hijacking Jeeps again, and did you want breaks with that or not? But now that with Obamacare, where your health is a matter of national security, here comes the the surveillance of everything else. Google patent basically makes your bathroom Spy Central does everything from analyze your poop to having an ultrasonic bathtub that does internal scans. The mirror checks out things like your skin color and other things that it can tell visibly. So you think the tracking is bad now, just wait until you are required to have these devices in your house. Vincent?
Reminds me of a call I got from someone who listened to this broadcast, and he purchased a BMW Z. And he was telling me that he had 1,800 miles on it, and he went to, in 3 years, a little over 4 years, and had a 4-year warranty on it. 1,800 miles. And the steering failed. And the steering was a computer-controlled steering system where the steering wheel was actually connected to what would be like a volume control on a stereo. And then the movement of the wheels, the front wheels, was done by a servo, so it was computer-controlled. The point is, it's not the old system where you have mechanical linkage. I do not want to have a vehicle that has a steering system that is computer-controlled that can be hacked. I do not want to have a braking system that can be hacked by someone riding along next to me by saying, let me just turn off those brakes. You're absolutely right, John. I am concerned about it, and I'm not participating in it. I'm just going to drive old jalopies until I can't get any more of them. John Ragan's been with us. Thank you so much, John. Above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you. Class, I'm a survivalist, and my plan is to be independent of everything that I can so that supply chain disruptions have a minimum impact on our family. What's the first thing that you do when the power goes out? I've researched the best value solar energy system that I can find, one that's backed by the technical support necessary for the undertaking. The system's installed and is generating electricity right now with equipment purchased from IronEdison.com. You heard Brandon Williams, CEO of IronEdison.com, right here on USA Prepares. Together, we designed our system. In my opinion, our IronEdison.com system has more features, more value, and more potential than any other system I've found. We chose the Snyder Electric system with a hybrid inverter, charge controller, power panel, battery disconnect, and the system control panel. If you want energy independence, as we have, please consider calling the engineering team at IronEdison.com, 720-432-6433, 720-432-6433.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A general steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
In these uncertain times, it makes sense to have a sustainable backup method to cook food and boil water. If your current plan includes using a fuel-burning stove or cooking over an open fire, then there's a much better way. The Minuteman Rocket Stove is a biomass-burning cooking stove that only requires small quantities of sticks and twigs for fuel. The Minuteman Stove is easy to use, smokeless, portable, powerful, and sustainable. For the finest in survival cooking stoves and fire starters made right here in the USA, go to MinutemanStove.com. That's MinutemanStove.com.